Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the KingSmith podcast.
KingSmith.
With your host, Nathan Smith, and...
Zachary King. We did that backwards.
We can't do that backwards.
Yeah.
I'm Zach, he's Nathan.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nathan, what do we do today?
Oh, we decided that we should maybe have the roasting of the Pharisees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We decided that they were going to have a good roast because, that's what they needed, right?
You know what? Some of these Pharisees, I tell you what, man. They just needed it.
Right. They didn't really understand, man.
No. Hey, but there's something else pretty cool that we're doing today.
What else are we doing cool today, Nathan?
Well, in case some of the people might notice, we got a little bit of a different miking situation going on here.
Yeah, for those sound-savvy people.
Yeah, I went to Guitar Center, and I bought me a 57, SM57, mainly for instruments and stuff, but I'm going to try it today and see how much I like it.
So this is a bit of a test for us.
Yep.
You know what else we did today, Nathan?
What else did we did today, Zachary?
Since today is Sunday, we had youth group.
That we did.
And we decided to have a movie night.
Yeah, we did.
What did we watch, Nathan?
Oh, we watched us some VeggieTales. Some Jonah.
And we were sitting there ragging on Jonah the entire time.
We kind of did.
So look forward to that episode when we decide to give Jonah his own...
we get to it, right?
Yeah, his own roasting session.
Bro, he deserved it, every bit of it.
So, Nathan...
Yes?
A bit something else for the peoples. While you are the sound and mic guy for the podcast...
Hey, man.
I'm kind of the episode planner, I guess you'd say,
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. And what I do is I shared with Nathan a document that is for our episodes. It's an outline for our episodes, right, Nathan?
Yeah. Big old Google Drive.
Yeah. And when I wrote the outline for this episode, initially, the only thing I wrote was the Pharisees are morons.
Oh, yeah.
And then later on, I added that the trial of Jesus was a bowl of legal potato salad, which means it's a big old mess.
Yeah, there was everything, dude. Everything with Jesus's trial was a mess. That was maybe the worst trial ever.
Right. It was the worst trial ever.
Yeah.
Oh, Nathan, let's start at the beginning.
Ooh, okay.
Nathan, why are the Pharisees a pack of morons that might make us look like geniuses?
The reason why the Pharisees are a pack of morons that might make us look like geniuses.
We aren't doing ourselves any favors here, folks.
I know that. Nobody was debating you there.
Yep.
No, the reason why is because, the Pharisees saw Jesus and rejected him. For the most part. Some of them did get the point.
Wait. Hold up.
I'm holding up.
Hold up. You mean to tell me that the Pharisees had the real, in-person Son of God in front of their faces?
I mean, Jesus kind of walked right in front of them, kind of witnessed to them a little bit. I'm just... Something about that.
Right. Yeah.
Tickles me.
It also tickles me. Guys, the relationship Jesus had with the Pharisees was always kind of interesting to me.
Oh yeah.
Because what he did was, what they did was, they would go up and accuse Jesus, and he would verbally slap them around like they were children, which, to be fair, compared to him, everyone is a child.
Hey, you know what? There's a reason why God says, let all the little children come. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
There just is a reason.
Yeah. No, yeah, and yes, some of the Pharisees did get the point. Like, I think it was Nicodemus was one of them.
Yeah,
I think
Nicodemus.
Nicodemus got the point eventually. Jesus still had to.
Yeah.
Look at
man.
John 3. John 3 is where Jesus had his conversation with Nicodemus, and of course John 3:16. Everybody knows that verse. And Nicodemus just is like, how can you be born of your mother's womb? Be born again? Are you going to climb into your mother's womb? And Jesus is like, no, dummy.
Yeah. Jesus is like, dude, no, that's not how. That's not how basic science works. I'm sorry.
Right.
We make arguments from basic science and the Bible,
Yep.
which isn't popular in today's day and age, but
Let me just say, climbing back into your mama is
it ain't work.
impossible.
It ain't work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
No, you might have a failure type of situation in there.
Yeah, and your mama might be a little bit creeped out.
I don't think we need to go there. But anyway,
Just saying.
I think they get the point, Zach.
Yep.
But here's the deal.
Moving on.
Mark. Chapter 8.
Ooh. What does Mark chapter 8 say, Nathan?
Well, we were talking about how, Jesus walked in front of all the Pharisees and scribes and all of them, and they should have known, and they did known, but, we get to Mark chapter 8, you got the feeding of the 4,000. And then at the end of the 4,000, it's 8:10 says, immediately he entered the boat with his disciples and came to the district of Dalmanutha, which Dalmanutha is actually a pretty big region.
Yep.
If I remember correctly. It's a pretty big region.
Uh-huh.
Now you get the Pharisees. In verse 11, they demand a sign. So it says, the Pharisees came out and began to argue with him, seeking from him a sign from heaven to test him. Verse 12, sighing deeply in his spirit, he said, why does this generation seek a sign? Truly I say to you, no sign will be given to this generation. Leaving them, he embarked and went away to the other side. So, what was the Pharisees' problem here, dude?
They, like we earlier we mentioned that Jesus said, "Oh, let the children come."
Mm-hmm.
The Pharisees are like spoiled brats,
Yes, I agree. Wow.
Seriously.
Wow.
Seriously. Look at verse 11 again. And the Pharisees came out and began to argue with him, demanding a sign. Tell me that isn't a spoiled little baby to you.
Those guys, they really are, man. I never looked at it that way before.
Spoiled little brats. They're like, oh, Jesus, give us a sign, give us a sign.
Dude, this is right after the feeding of the 4,000.
Right. And Jesus, if he had glasses on, he would take them off like I'm doing right now and just be like,
stop.
No.
Oh, my word. Some of these people, man, I tell you what.
It is amazing, Nathan, to me at least, that the religious leaders of the day couldn't tell that the Son of God was right in front of their faces.
It's insane. It's mind-boggling to me, Zach. That's what it is.
Right. Now,
but they ask him for a sign. He's like, dude, I just did one. What are you talking about?
this generation will have no sign.
Mm-hmm. But then, okay, so he starts talking to the disciples again, you know, in verse 14. And they had forgotten to take bread and did not have more than one loaf in the boat with them. Ooh. And he was giving them orders, saying, "Watch out, beware the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of Herod," because the second King Herod was in rule at this time. They began to discuss with one another the fact that they had no bread, and Jesus, aware of this, said to them, "Why do you discuss the fact that you have no bread? Do you not yet see or understand, or do you have a hardened heart? Having eyes do you not see, and having ears do you not hear, and do you not remember when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many baskets of broken pieces you picked up? They said to him, 12. When I broke 7 for the 4,000, how many large baskets of broken pieces did you pick up? And they said to him, 7. And he was saying to them, hey, stupid. I mean, do you not yet understand?
I mean,
even the disciples didn't get it.
Yep. My gosh. Now, when we say that the Pharisees were morons, we are not meaning they are like uneducated or like, intellectually challenged.
They were definitely educated.
The problem is they were blinded by the power and wealth and prestige and all the other good stuff, earthly stuff they were getting from,
Yeah.
the Israelites of the day.
They were totally blind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 100% with you.
So the wider nation of Israel was worshiping the Pharisees. Putting them on a pedestal, saying, "Oh, if I go to the Pharisees, they'll solve all my problems."
Well, that's what Judas followed, but
no. But the problem with the Pharisees is they were not following the true God.
No, they were not. No, they did not.
They were following what I would say is an after image of God.
Mm-hmm.
Or guess what? They were following an idol.
Oh, no. It's the I word.
They were saying
idol.
So not only were they blinded by all the power, money, and prestige, they were blinded by... They were so tied up and following the law that they forgot the prophets. And like Isaiah, who were saying, hey, dingus...
Yeah.
Look who it is.
Literally. Hey, guess what? We have somebody here. His name is, by the way, Jesus.
It's not like he was born of a virgin or anything.
Yeah, it's not like anything special happened there other than the fact that he's alive.
Right.
In front of you.
It's not like he just, took, 7 loaves of bread and fed 4,000 people for...
Good Lord. Dude, I could go off on this.
I could go off on this, too.
Oh, man. But, hey, we've talked about the disciples, the Pharisees, but now let's look at a pretty big rebuke to specifically Peter.
Right. Specifically Peter. I feel like Peter gets rebuked a lot. And...
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets shut down in Mark 8.
You want to know something, Nathan?
Yeah.
Our pastor, David Pierce, recently finished, a few months ago, a study of 2 Peter.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And something he said stuck out to me. He said that Peter was not unintelligent or stupid.
No.
Far
from it.
Yeah, he's far from it. He just how I would phrase it, Peter just jumped the gun a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or how I would phrase it, he had a bad case of foot and mouth-itis.
Foot and mouth-itis. That is about as accurate of a way you could word that as you could word that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see this rebuke of Peter in the book of Mark.
Mark 8:27. So Jesus goes out along with his disciples to the villages of Caesarea Philippi. And on the way he questioned his disciples, saying to them, "Who do people say that I am?" Okay, so Jesus gives a poll, and they told him, saying, John the Baptist, others say Elijah, but others, one of the prophets, blah, 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 blah. And then he continued by questioning, saying, "But who do you say that I am?" Peter answered him and said to him, "You are the Christ." And he warned them to tell no one about him. Okay, so he's right. Peter's right. He nails it. Okay?
I won't say this is one of the few times that he hits the nail on the head, but this is certainly one of the times where he
It literally takes like maybe 5 seconds for the rebuke to come. So,
Yeah.
it says, and he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and the chief priests and the scribes and be killed and after 3 days rise again. And he was stating the matter plainly, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him because...
Oh, time out.
Whoa.
Hey, Pete, settle down here.
Pete, what
You're
you
jumping
doing?
the gun.
Pete.
Don't rebuke God,
Pete,
buddy.
chill out.
As we're learning in our study of Job, when you begin to challenge God, God comes out and says, "Hey, ding dong."
Hey, chill out, bruh.
Yep.
Chill out. All right.
Continue.
But turning around and seeing his disciples, he rebukes Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are not setting your mind on God's interest, but man's." Whoa.
Now, no, I think we've stated this before on the podcast, but I'm gonna restate it here.
Please.
When Jesus is calling Peter Satan, he is not calling Peter. He's not calling Peter the devil.
Nope.
The term Satan or the Satan is a title for, and it means opponent.
Yep.
Or opposer, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it means opponent.
So when Jesus is rebuking Peter, saying, "Get behind me," he's saying, "Get behind me, you who opposes me."
Yeah.
I'm going to do this whether you like it or not, Peter. And guess what? You're going to deny me.
Yeah.
And what does Peter do?
Well, if you look at the next few chapters, he tries to build a tabernacle.
Well, yeah. but at the end of the Gospels, Peter is just in the courtyard watching the trial of Jesus, and then all of a sudden, I don't know who that Jesus guy is.
Yeah, he totally turns away from Christ like 3 different times, and then the roosters start crowing, and
Peter has a meltdown.
Peter knew what he did.
Yep.
And you know what? He earned it.
He earned it. Yeah.
God even told him what was going to happen.
So not only is Jesus, roasting and rebuking the Pharisees, he's also kind of getting after his disciples, saying, "Hey."
Oh yeah.
And I'd say another thing that not only blinded the Pharisees, but also blinded the disciples,
Yeah.
was they already had a vision of what the Messiah was going to look like in their head.
Yeah. They already knew.
They thought.
Well, they thought, I should say.
Yeah, they thought they knew.
They thought.
They thought the Messiah was going to be this Alexander the Great type, conqueror, come in and just be like backhand Rome with maximum prejudice, saying, "Get out my country. This is mine now."
Yeah, that didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
That didn't happen, did it?
Instead, Jesus rode in on a donkey and got crucified.
Yep. But look at, so now you get to the Transfiguration, and this is after 6 days. So Jesus takes Peter, James, and John, brings them up the mountain, and he was transfigured before them, and basically turns super bright white. And then Elijah appears to them along with Moses, and they were talking with Jesus. So you got Elijah and Moses and Jesus chilling up there. And then Peter says to Jesus, he's shouting up to Jesus, he says, "Rabbi, it's good for us to be here. Let us make 3 tabernacles, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah." For he did not know what to answer, for they became terrified. And then, Zach, what does God the Father say?
This is the Transfiguration.
Mm-hmm.
God says, "This is my son, in whom I am well pleased. Listen to him."
This is my beloved son. Peter, shut up. Okay? And all at once they looked around and saw no one with them anymore, except Jesus alone. As they were coming down the mountain, he gave them orders not to tell anybody anything until the Son of Man rose from the dead. Yeah. So Peter gets slammed again. For a Pharisee roast, we're really just slamming on Peter here, right?
Yeah. Let's get back to the Pharisees for a second.
I do want to get back to that.
And roasting Peter, we're just saying Peter had some bright moments and some not so bright moments, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
The Pharisees had no bright moments. Jesus calls them.
They were pretty stupid.
Jesus calls them sons of vipers.
Yeah.
Which basically means Jesus called them snakes.
Yeah.
He calls them whitewashed tombs. And, cups that are like beautiful and ornate on the outside, but empty on the inside.
Yeah.
My gosh, people. Jesus goes after the Pharisees. And
he gets them.
you want to know something interesting, Nathan?
Yes.
Not one of Jesus' disciples was of the Pharisees until Paul.
What's that?
Not one of Jesus' disciples came from the religious leadership of the day until he chose Paul.
That's true. Yeah. That is true.
How many?
Yeah.
What did he choose? He chooses 4 fishermen,
Yeah.
the sons of thunder, and Peter and his brother Andrew.
Yeah.
He chooses a tax collector
And a zealot.
and a zealot
In the same room.
in the same room.
Yeah, that'd be a little awkward.
Bruh, chill. He chooses one who would betray him,
Yep.
which
Well, one who would betray him, he was betraying him the whole time.
Yeah. Brief side note, this might be an episode later, but a question that was asked of me at one point in time was like, did it have to be Judas that betrayed Jesus?
Ooh.
My answer right now is no.
I think yes, actually.
Okay, that's an episode
Yeah, that's an episode.
That's an episode. So look forward to that one.
Yeah.
Potential disagreements incoming.
Yep. And,
Okay.
But anyway, back to the Pharisees. So
Back to the Pharisees. I'm going to sneeze.
bless you.
Woo! I got that. I timed that too. I knew it was coming.
Yeah. So
Bruh.
Jesus is just here talking to the Pharisees, just like, yo, you guys are nothing but vipers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
But what's the greatest commandment, Zach?
to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength.
Ooh.
What's
Now,
the second greatest commandment, Nathan?
What is the second greatest commandment?
What is the second greatest commandment?
Let's see. The first greatest commandment is you shall have no other gods before me. But
Well, no, that's the first of the 10 commandments.
yeah, I know.
But when Jesus says the greatest commandment, that you shall not have God.
I see what you're asking here.
You shall
Love
love
your
God.
neighbors.
There you go. And I think there's a parable
See,
that
you got to be careful here with the different lists that you pick from here, Zach, because chances are I'm going to get confused because I'm stupid.
yeah. So am I, buddy.
It's okay.
It's okay. And that's why it's so hard to make us look like geniuses, and the Pharisees are still somehow
Somehow
accomplishing-
the Pharisees did it.
But to be fair to the Pharisees, we have the benefit of hindsight.
Well, they had the benefit of hindsight, too. They had the entire Old Testament. They should
Right.
have known better.
And they had Jesus in front of their faces.
But
So,
there is
but you know.
one little moment that one of them had, and I don't want to discount it. Mark chapter 12, starting in verse 8. One of the scribes came and heard them arguing, and he recognized that he had answered them well, asked him, "What commandment is the foremost of all?" And Jesus answered, "The foremost is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and you shall love the Lord with your love your God. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. The second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these." And the scribe said to him, "Right, teacher, you have truly said that he is one, and there is no one else besides him. And to love him, blah, 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 blah." And that actually, at the end of verse 33, after he says to love one's neighbor as himself, is much more than all burnt offerings and sacrifices. One of the scribes got it. And when
Right.
Jesus saw that he had answered intelligently, He said to him, "You're not far from the kingdom of God." And after that, no one would venture to ask him any more questions. Do you think that scribe got saved?
I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
I wouldn't be surprised neither. Wasn't quite there. I wouldn't be surprised if he got it.
Jesus himself said he wasn't far off, man.
Yeah.
He was pretty close to, hitting a home run here.
Yeah.
Now, the second commandment, loving your neighbor as yourself. There is a parable in the Gospels that Jesus tells that illustrates this perfectly.
Yeah.
Which I think Jesus tells like right after he gives these two commandments.
Right.
I think it might be Matthew, if I'm right. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the smartest dude.
No, I'm right there with you, bro.
But anyway, so Jesus gives these two commandments, and then he goes right into a parable. So this dude in his beast of burden, I don't know if it was a donkey or a mule or
It was something.
it was a beast of burden. So this dude is traveling along the road. I think from, I don't remember the towns exactly. I'm going to summarize and paraphrase.
Uh-huh.
So this dude is traveling along a particularly dangerous stretch of road in the land of Israel. And he gets jumped by two bandits. They beat the tar out of him, take all his stuff, and basically leave him to die.
Yeah.
An indeterminate amount of time later, we don't know how long,
No.
guess who shows up?
Don't.
A Pharisee.
Uh-oh.
And what does he do?
Keeps on a trotting.
He not only keeps on trying, he goes to the other side of the road and goes.
And he's just like, no, we ain't doing this. We out.
Next dude to show up.
The next one.
Levite.
One who should have helped, actually.
One who
He
should have helped.
Should have helped. Yeah.
Both the Pharisee and the Levite should have helped.
I mean, I get it. It's technically Jewish, so I mean, yeah.
So the Levite also goes to the other side
He's
of the
just
road
like,
and
nah.
keeps going. Guess who finally helps this dude, Nathan?
Guessing who?
A Samaritan.
A dog?
A dog.
Oh.
A Samaritan man comes down, sees this guy
Yeah.
suffering and in pain.
Yeah.
Probably, on all accounts, close to death's door. He's like, okay, I'm gonna help. Goes gets him from the side of the road, bandages him up the best he can, takes him to the nearest town and to the inn, and gives the innkeeper some money and just says, "Hey, keep track of him.
Yep.
Keep track of his tab. When I come back, I'll pay whatever he builds up."
He took care of him.
He took care of him and made sure he was taken care of when he no longer could.
Yeah. Boy, that's powerful, dude. That is powerful.
That was powerful. You know what that's doing though?
What's that doing, Zach?
Jesus is indirectly calling out the religious leaders of the day,
Of course.
right?
I would too.
And he calls them out directly too,
Yeah.
because if I'm not mistaken, and the two times he clears out the temple, one I think near the beginning of his ministry, and one near the end.
Yeah.
He guess my educated guess would be, my hypothesis would be
Okay.
that all the money changers and the people selling the sacrificial animals were religious leaders, scribes, Pharisees,
Oh yeah.
Sadducees.
Yeah.
And Jesus goes in there and flips out on them.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Boy, that was a That was a bunny trail for sure.
That was a bunny trail. That was a big bunny trail.
That was a huge bunny trail.
All right.
Yeah.
There is one other parable I would like to mention that
Go for it.
directly calls out the Pharisees.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Okay, so
It's not hard.
Jesus, if I remember right, Jesus was asked. This is one of the TMs. Jesus was asked, "How do we pray?" And he doesn't quite give the Lord's Prayer yet. Or Jesus was asked something, interrelated to prayer, and Jesus, again,
yeah,
launches into another parable, another story.
Right.
He says, one day, this Pharisee goes in the temple.
Right.
Again, paraphrasing and summarizing.
Yep.
He goes in the temple and says, "Lord, look at me. I'm the coolest. I did all this awesome stuff.
Sure you did, bud.
I'm a righteous dude. Not like this publican over here."
Oh. Called out.
And then Jesus says, "Oh, but wait. The publican is standing over in this corner and he's just like, Lord, I know I'm a wretch. I'm a sinner. Please, if you see it fit, please, forgive me and, don't hold it against me."
Yeah.
And Jesus ends the parable by asking, who went away the more righteous? And he says, this is something a friend of mine pointed out to me a while ago.
Okay.
When Jesus says verily, verily, or truly, truly,
Yeah.
when he's saying, when he's repeating it,
Yeah.
that's emphasizing the point.
Yeah.
So when Jesus says truly, truly, the publican went away justified and righteous, while the Pharisee went away stuck up little pig.
Yep. He did.
Now, yeah. So the Pharisees, Jesus mocked the Pharisees to their faces several times.
I don't know if mocking's the right word,
Well,
but he definitely took it to him a few times.
Yeah, he took it to him, I should say, yeah. But he legit got exasperated with them and was just like, y'all are idiots.
I would too, but...
Yeah. I think the biggest failure and the biggest point of outright, idiocy and, stupidity of these Pharisees was the trial of Jesus.
And that's where I am pulling things up here.
Right. So,
oh, my goodness.
So, keep in mind, y'all, by the time they arrested Jesus, they already decided he was going to die.
Yeah.
They had already decided. Which, by the way, sentencing someone before they're convicted is illegal.
Yeah, you can't do that.
This entire trial is potato salad. Big old mess.
It's terrible.
So, Nathan's pulling up the passage.
I'm trying to get there, yeah.
Nathan's pulling up one of the accounts.
I'm in Matthew here.
And I'm going to basically kind of summarize events.
Go for it.
If I can.
Yeah.
Who knows? My stupid might come back and strike. So, to start things off, the way they arrest Jesus in the middle of the night, it's kind of sus.
Yeah, that's very, yeah.
The only way they can get him to get to the point of arresting him is by one of his disciples betraying him, and them paying him.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know something interesting, Nathan?
Yes, I do. Please tell me, Zach.
Judas could be considered the first witness against Jesus.
I mean, yeah, he's the one who betrayed him. Gave him over.
Yeah, he's the one who betrayed him. So Judas is the first witness of Jesus, or could be considered that at least.
Yeah.
So they bribed their way to arresting him
Yeah.
in the middle of the night, which
Yeah.
um,
Sorry.
like arresting people in the middle of the night isn't like pure grounds for, throwing out a case because it happens. Sometimes the only way you get the bad guy is by arresting him in the middle of the night.
Yeah. But this is different.
This is different.
So I got John chapter 18 pulled up. I was going all over Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. John chapter 18. So you got Jesus before Pilate, and it says they led 18:28. They led Jesus from Caiaphas into the praetorium, and it was early, and they themselves did not enter into the praetorium so that they would not be defiled, but might eat the Passover. Therefore Pilate went out to them and said, "What accusation do you bring against this man?" And they answered and said to him, "If this man were not an evildoer, we would not have delivered him to you." Whoa.
Okay.
So Pilate says to them, "Take him yourselves and judge him according to your law." The Jews said to him, "We are not permitted to put anyone to death," to fulfill the word of Jesus which he spoke, signifying by what kind of death he was about to die. So,
Hold up.
this is very important, Zach.
This is important, Nathan. Why is this important, Nathan?
It's important because it shows, this passage alone shows what the end goal for the chief priests was from the get-go.
Right.
They lie, they straight up lie to Pilate.
Right.
Pilate calls him out on it. He doesn't believe it.
Yeah. So
And then Pilate says to them, "Take him yourselves, judge him according to your law."
I'm gonna stop you there, Nathan.
Go for
and
it.
I'm gonna rewind.
Go for it.
So, the chief priests and the Roman in a Roman cohort, which is about, I think, like 500 to 600 soldiers. It's not as big as a legion, but it's about.
It's a lot of people, though.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
500 to 600 soldiers, Roman soldiers. About, I don't know how many of the temple guards, but probably a good amount of the temple guards was there.
Bunch of them.
Some servants of the priests were there,
Yep.
evidenced by Peter cutting off the ear of one of them,
Yep.
named Malchus, I believe.
Yep.
So they arrest Jesus. Then they take him to Annas, who was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, the current high priest, and was a former high priest himself.
Mm-hmm.
This is as close to a Jewish mafia as we can get.
It was a Jewish mafia. It's freaking
Yeah.
stupid.
So, and keep in mind when Nathan just read and what we said earlier,
Uh-huh.
the Sanhedrin, basically the Supreme Court of the Jewish people, had already decided that Jesus was going to die. The point of them taking him before Annas was to find a charge to indict him on, basically.
Which they never did.
Which they never did,
Uh,
as evidenced by what Nathan read. And
Pilate just says, "No,
They never
this
did.
is yours." But the Jews say to him, "We are not permitted to put anyone to death."
they never did. They never
Uh,
found an indictment. I'm going to keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you keep going. I'm going to find other passages here.
They never found an indictment on Jesus. They could be like, okay, we can still try him. They take him before the Sanhedrin
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of the night, y'all. Which, okay, first of all, by Jewish law, this is in Leviticus, by Jewish law,
Yep.
you have to have a trial in the daytime, which means you have to have a trial after the sun has risen.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a little passionate about
You
this.
keep going, man. You got it.
So, not only have they suspiciously arrested Jesus, I won't say it's straight up illegal, although it probably is, based off of the bribe testimony of
It's a bribe. Yeah.
the bribe testimony of one of his followers.
Yeah.
they have illegally taken him to trial without a formal indictment, without even a formal charge.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they have taken him to trial when they're not supposed to. Another analogy I came up with is this trial is legal pasta.
It's so bad. Yeah.
Nathan, you know when you cook spaghetti
Uh-huh.
and when it softens, it looks like
yeah.
it looks like a bit of a tangled mess.
Oh, this whole thing is a tangled mess.
Yes, this is a tangled mess. This is legal pasta.
This is the worst trial of all time.
Yeah. So, during this trial, they convict him, basically.
Well, then, no, they don't.
They illegally convict him.
Illegal, yeah.
They basically convict him of nothing.
Yeah.
And then they take him before Pilate, which Nathan read earlier.
Yep.
And Pilate comes out and he goes like, "What's the charge?" And they're like,
Actually,
if
we
he
don't
was
have it.
"We wouldn't have brought him to you if he wasn't a bad guy." And then Pilate is just annoyed beyond all belief because they woke him up in the middle of the night.
Oh,
And then
yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
They woke
man.
they woke Pilate up in the middle of the night and didn't even give him a formal accusation.
If I were Pilate, I'd just slam the door in the face and be like, "Get
Like,
out
okay,
of here."
okay, if they had at least brought an accusation, I would have been like, "Pilate, bro, I get it. You're tired, but chill."
I would have just waited.
Yeah, I was like, but so
Bruh.
they bring him before the civilian judge, I'll say, or a civilian judge,
Right, right.
and Pilate's just like, "Y'all are stupid,"
Oh yeah.
and sends Jesus off to Herod. And guess what Herod does?
Y'all are stupid.
Herod goes, "Y'all are stupid," sends him back to Pilate.
Yep.
And at this point, Pilate remembers that the releasing of a prisoner, right? And Pilate's just like, "Hey, we have two options.
We got this custom.
We got this custom. Hey, so I can either release Jesus or Barabbas." The Pharisees choose Barabbas. Nathan, do you know what Barabbas is?
He was a robber, right? He was a thief.
He's a robber, a thief, a rebel.
Yeah.
He's probably killed a few people,
At minimum.
at minimum. And they say, "Hey, we want Barabbas the killer and the thief, instead of Jesus, the living Son of God."
That's insane to me.
And Pilate, this is something
Pilate
interesting about
lost
Pilate.
it, yeah.
This is something interesting about Pilate, although we've already dived into him a lot. But this is something interesting about Pilate. Pilate starts fighting for Jesus. He's
Yeah.
just like, "Hey, you know what? I'll beat him and release him." And they were like, "No, we want Barabbas."
Yeah.
By the way, Pilate beating him without an accusation is illegal.
It's already illegal.
Yeah, it's already illegal. This entire thing is illegal because they they illegally arrested him. They illegally
Everything was
convicted
illegal.
him.
This is terrible.
They
yeah.
illegally convicted him, and they have annoyed the civic leaders of the time.
Oh yeah.
Eventually,
But hold on. John chapter 19.
go ahead.
Jesus kind of gives Pilate the pass here.
He gives Pilate. He kind of. He gives Pilate a pass. I'd
Kind of
say.
gives Pilate a pass because Pilate's getting screwed, guys. We got to remember that Pilate is screwed. So
Because the Israelites basically bribe him into their demands. Although it's a different kind of bribery. They basically use fear tactics to...
they use fear tactics. They didn't bribe him, but John 19:10. So Pilate said to him, "You do not speak to me. Do you not know that I have authority to release you and I have authority to crucify you?" And Jesus answers, "You would have no authority over me unless it had been given you from above. For this reason, he who delivered me to you has the greater sin." He's not saying that Pilate's not wrong, but
He is saying, Pilate, look, dude, I get it. You're kind of in the corner here. You're mostly off the hook for this.
yeah.
So, if I can continue with my
Go for it.
summarization and
Go for it.
paraphrasing. So, yeah, Pilate keeps going out the Jews. Like, I find no fault in this guy. You didn't bring me a formal charge. He's not talking to me. I can't find anything that would remotely qualify him for execution.
Right.
Or execution, whether by crucifixion or other means.
Right.
And, you know, I think, yeah. And then something else they do, I forgot to mention this, something else the Sanhedrin does is they hold a mock trial during the, so when the sun comes up, they like, okay, Jesus, you're convicted.
Right.
And during that trial, they bribe even more witnesses
Yeah.
against Jesus.
Yeah.
And guess what?
What's that, Zach?
Not a single one of them came to his defense.
Yep.
Which, by the way, is also illegal because I believe, again, in Leviticus and or Deuteronomy, it says, hey, the accused is legally obligated to have a defense.
A defense. Yep.
Which is where we get some of our Miranda's rights.
Yeah.
You know, if you guys watch, you know, shows like Blue Bloods or, you know, CSI or NCIS, those investigation type shows, they'll start reading off the rights. You have the right to remain silent. You will have a right to legal counsel. If you cannot afford legal counsel, the one will be provided for you by the state.
Yeah. Well, nothing was provided by the state for Jesus.
No. So, not only did they illegally bribe witnesses and basically illegally convict them off of witness testimony, false testimony, by the way, which under the Levitical law meant that they were to be given the sentence that they were accused. They were accusing the that they were given the accused. So
right.
I'm just saying a whole bunch of people should have died instead of Jesus.
Yeah. A lot of people should have,
including us.
But you know, now we look at we get to the crucifixion. Now what does Pilate do? I love this. So Pilate.
Yeah, I love this. So
they crucify him. Pilate makes an inscription, puts it on the cross, and he wrote, this is in John 19:19, Jesus the Nazarene, King of the Jews. Therefore many of the Jews read this inscription to the place where Jesus was crucified near the city, and it was written in Hebrew, Latin, and in Greek. So he wrote it three different ways. And the chief priest of the Jews were saying to Pilate, do not write the King of the Jews, but that he said, I am the King of the Jews. Pilate answered, get off my lawn.
So at this point, Pilate is
I've written.
Pilate is just like 1,000% done with these idiots.
He is so over it.
And I think the moment that he just, I think he was done from the beginning, but I think that moment that was kind of like the tipping point was the moment that they were all screaming, crucify him, which, by the way, they bribed more people to yell crucify him, which adds more to this legal nightmare.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna sidetrack a bunny trail a little bit. Even by today's standards, and I know I've mentioned this already, even by today's standards, the trial of Jesus would have been over the second it started. They wouldn't have even gotten to the crucifixion.
Yeah, they wouldn't have. You're right.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because there's no judges in the middle of the night in the courthouse.
Yep.
Any judge worth his salt in America today would have seen, Okay, we have no accusation, no evidence.
It'd have been done. Whole thing would have been done.
This
Mistrial.
whole thing, mistrial. This whole thing is
Instantly.
done. And on top of that, I believe that we in America today have some skilled investigators in the country that would have probably been able to figure out, oh hey, this bunch of people bribed all these witnesses. Mistrial again.
Yeah, there would have been at least. Bro,
I
can't even go.
There's at least two. There's at least two causes for mistrial in the text alone, and probably more.
Well, there's more.
So again, jumping forward a little bit, Jesus, jumping back into the account,
Right.
or the summarization of the account, I should say. So Pilate gets fed up and scared, and he's just like,
Yeah.
you know what? Takes a bowl. He probably has this bowl on the stage somewhere.
Right.
Goes to this bowl, washes his hands, says, "Wash my hands, go."
Right.
Crucify him. They crucify him, and Pilate writes the inscription,
Yep.
and they were like, "Oh, another case of the Pharisees being spoiled brats."
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh,
they
write
asked for
this
special
instead,"
treatment.
and Pilate's just like,
I'm done.
"Y'all are morons. I'm done with you. Go away. Be glad that he's dying." And then Jesus gets taken down off the cross. Jesus dies, gets taken down off the cross, laid in a tomb, pops up again later.
Now here's something with Jesus dying people don't understand. How
Right.
did Jesus die on the cross? How did he actually die?
Suffocation.
It was suffocation.
You want to know how?
How?
So the way a crucifixion works is you are nailed to the cross in 3 places.
Yeah.
You are nailed to
The
the
wrist.
cross beam by your wrists.
Yep. Through in between the bones.
In between bones.
In between the bones.
Which fulfills scripture by saying, "Not a bone of his shall be broken."
Yep.
And people misrepresent that by showing the nail holes through his palm.
No,
It would have been it would have been through the wrist.
It has to be through the wrist.
Yeah. But anyway, and then through his feet, which I think there's a gap in the foot bone to provide for non-breakage.
So essentially, you're sagging.
You're sagging.
You're sagging on the tree.
So gravity is basically keeping carbon dioxide in your lungs. And what you have to do to be able to take a breath is you have to pull up on this. You basically have to do a combination of pulling up on the nails in your wrists and pushing up on the nails on the nail on your feet
in order to stay alive.
in order to take a breath.
Yep.
Which is why in the account the Roman soldiers broke the legs of the thieves, so they couldn't push themselves up.
Yep. So the thieves really were dying.
Yeah.
Jesus, I mean, he was really dying. They were both really
And
dying.
by the way, I'm gonna discount the Jesus fainted theory here. When the guard pierced Jesus,
he was dead.
he was dead. Blood and water came out. Clear sign Jesus
That's
was
how
dead.
you know. That is the telltale sign that somebody's dead is when
Right.
the blood and the water are separate.
Um,
Now, here's something that's interesting. Scripture speaks into this. Luke 34:46. Luke 23:46 says, "And Jesus, crying out with a loud voice, said, 'Father, into your hands I commit my spirit.' Having said this, he breathed his last,
right.
indicating that he actually did suffocate to death."
Right.
The Roman centurion said he was innocent right
The-
after that.
The Roman centurion said he was innocent. Pilate said he was innocent.
And then we go back into a previous episode that we already did.
Yep. And
Oh, man.
okay, one last thing I want to mention that the Pharisees did, which was probably highly illegal.
Mm-hmm.
When Jesus rose from the dead in the resurrection,
Ooh.
the guards get worried and go to the Pharisees and say, "Oh, the body's gone. What do we do?" And the Pharisees just basically just bribe them and say, "Hey,
Pay him off.
say the disciples
That
came
ain't
and
what
stole the body."
happened. We all smarter than that.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
And I think this is the point I'm going to end on.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense. Like, okay, I get it. Peter, Andrew, James, and John were probably strong enough from fishing
Mm-hmm.
that they could overpower an average person, I'll say.
Yeah.
There is no way on God's green earth that 4 fishermen, a tax collector, a zealot, and whatever the heck the rest of them were
Yeah.
were
There's no way.
overempowering a trained contingent of Roman guards.
That's not going to happen.
I will grant you that they probably could have moved the stone away, but they are not. Maybe. That I will grant
That'd have been
you.
a big stone.
Yeah, I will grant you that 11 guys could have moved the stone away.
Mm-hmm.
I will grant you that it's a possibility.
Yeah.
However, where it goes, we're off the rails for me, is the fact that you're saying 11 untrained for fighting dudes,
Yeah.
came in and basically overpowered a contingent of the most lethal fighting force.
There's no way. No way.
If you want to know how insane these guys are, go watch
they're
oversimplified video of the first Punic War. I am not kidding.
Yes.
I'm not kidding when I say the Roman military was legit insane.
They were pretty good at that point in time.
Yeah. But anyway,
All right. That's all we got time for today, guys.
y'all have fun.
Yeah.
Look forward to our next episode, which is the last part of Job,
Yeah.
with a special guest,
Special guest.
David Pierce.
Pierce, my boy.
And have a blessed week, you guys. Have a blessed rest of your day whenever you're hearing this.
Have a blessed whenever you're hearing this.
Deuces.
Peace out.